one thing he said during that conversation was that, you know, real estate folks, like, we're kind of all crybabies. We're always like, oh, it's so tough, it's so hard. But for companies like Slate Property Group and David, they find a way forward. You know, they really do make things happen. Without like folks going into the weeds, then it just doesn't work. So I think you need to be able to think big, and you also need to be able to like really delve into the weeds.
I think our team's done a good job at pivoting to what the market needs right now. We sold a lot of development. We're selling commercial properties because that's what the market wants. And I feel like in any business, you have to pivot and adapt.
Mitch, season 3.
Summer in New York City.
I know. Can you believe we're podcasting for 2 years now?
I know.
2 years, Mitch.
I know. It's been a bit of a stop-start, but looking forward to getting back into it.
Who was your favourite guest so far?
I'd have to say Peter Fine, biasly, because he was a good client. I think he's a very interesting guy. I think that I learned a lot from him. So yeah, he was my favourite. And also Paul Massey. I know it was right a while ago now, but that was a good, like an hour and a half. A lot of good nuggets from that one I think I learned as well.
What was like something you learned about Paul that you didn't know before going into it?
Just, I feel like his high level of emotional intelligence and his ability to connect with people. I always feel like that was a sort of unique skill he had. His ability to connect with anyone from anywhere. I think he had a good talent for that. You?
Over the past...
Your favourite guest, sorry.
Over the past, how many? So we've done 30?
30, about 30 now, yeah.
It's like asking which one is your favourite kid. I mean, they were all... I have to say, every one of them that I went into, I came out of it thinking that I learned a lot from that person, or I saw a different side to that person. I think there's something about this setting that makes conversations just that bit more intimate.
People open up.
You open up a bit more, especially when we were back recording in the office and we had the headphones on. You really like dialed into everything the person's saying. Few things that jump out. Bob Knackle was obviously great. James Nelson brought a lot of energy to it. Some of the attorneys, I feel like we've had like really good attorneys on. Howard Coe, I know, just like knows the market inside out. Then like some big buyers like Peter Hungerford, you know, was just fresh off a
massive deal, right?
Nearly 2,000 units. So, and then developers. I feel like we naturally, for some reason, gravitate a lot towards developers.
I feel like we learned a lot from David Schwartz. That was a good conversation.
David Schwartz was a big one.
Yeah.
I mean, he just really brings... He makes what he does sound easy, and I think that's what great people do. But also just very giving, I think, with the information and his time. And I think we really got to see how real players work behind the scenes.
I think we learned from that conversation with David Schwartz actually was that like how much their job is political. He was like half my time is doing politics, you know?
Right. And you could tell from you know the line he was taking on things as well. Like he's good at it. Like he knows how to probably be effective. Where one thing he said during that conversation was that, you know, real estate folks, like, we're kind of all crybabies, right? We're always like, oh, it's so tough, it's so hard. But for companies like Slate Property Group and David, they find a way forward.
Yeah.
You know, they really do make things happen by playing according to the rules of the day, because that's all any of us can really do.
I think when the rules change as well, I've said this before, it's like it gives you an opportunity to zig when other people are zagging. Right? That creates opportunity in itself when rules are changing. People have to adapt to the new rules. It reminds me of I'm a big F1 fan. The rules are changing in 2026. The people who are going to learn the rules quickest are going to get ahead and win the game. So like, I think that's not necessarily a bad thing when rules change. Obviously, everyone's still crying about 2019, which we all understand. But
if you've been wondering what types of deals we've been working on,
we've made it easy for you. Just click on the link, show notes below.
We're talking real deals and real opportunities.
Whether you're an investor or owner or just curious to know what's going on behind the scenes,
just click the link below and it'll bring you right to all of our available inventory. It's been 6 years though now.
Yeah, I know.
And it's affected me personally. It's affected you personally in terms of maybe personally is the wrong word, but business-wise it's affected us, which ultimately affects us personally, because there's literally 70% of the market is almost on hold. You have outliers in there, people who have partnership disputes or people who maybe own 1 or 2 buildings. They're the only folks out of that 70% that are actually selling. So everyone else they know what their building was worth in 2018, and if it was worth 10 million in 2018, today there's a lot of these buildings worth 6 million, 7 million. And every time you bring a new listing out, especially in that multifamily space, you always feel like it's not priced low enough, because the buyers will look at it and say, well, if the brokers are saying it's worth 10 million today, then we know off the bat it's definitely overpriced. So you're working against a listing being on the market with real suspicion from buyers that it is overpriced. You're working against interest rates being double what they were 3 or 4 years ago. And thirdly, you're working against New York State regulation, which has basically capped the amount of income you can collect. But all of a sudden, your expenses are outpacing your income. So I think that's why it's amazing we're still in this business. Thank God for retail. Thank God for commercial. Thank God for development. Because that remaining 30% of the market has basically been the scraps we've been living off.
I think our team's done a good job of pivoting to what the market needs right now. We sold a lot of development. We're selling commercial properties, because that's what the market wants. And I feel like in any business, you have to pivot and adapt. Like David Schwartz has done. He's the new rules. He's understand what they are, and he's played that game. I think that's a key component. Like another question we're getting a lot on pitches right now. We're doing lots of pitches. I think we've done about 130 this year so far. The question we're getting lots, like, what's going to happen with rates? So, what is going to happen with rates? How would you respond to that? How have you been responding to that with owners?
Well, I think when the election happened in November and Trump was elected in, I think most of us in real estate and business expected a more pro-business environment would lead to more deals, more trading. Fortunately, it just didn't materialize. The Fed has obviously kept rates where they are, and probably even a hair above where they were in November. So we've all been waiting for these interest rates to fall. It doesn't look like it's happening, certainly in the short term. Maybe for the remainder of 2025, if you're a betting man, which I am, I would bet you're going to see some sort of cut towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
But all that is kind of nonsense, I feel like, as well. I feel like it's if you're a real seller, you're going to sell, right? You have to sell. By real seller, I mean those folks I spoke about, partnership issues, not even debt coming due anymore. That's not even a real seller, because their hands are tied. They can't sell. A lot of the time, if you look at it, the mortgage is worth the same as the value. So for them to sell, they would need the bank to actually cut them loose a little bit, or they need to write a small check. So why would those folks sell unless the banks are putting the screws on them? And the banks are not putting the screws on them because the banks don't want the buildings back either, because that's just another major headache.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is happening all over the city, and every broker you speak to, that's probably why everyone is trying to find a way forward. But I think if anyone's honest, there's no way that they can be fully happy with how business is today.
No, agreed. It'd be interesting to see how things play out, as always. I think that rates ultimately will come down. It's like if you say something enough into existence over a period of time, it will happen at some point. Everyone knows that. We also get asked a lot, is it a good time to sell now? Our response is always the same. It's never a good time to sell New York City real estate. It's always appreciated long term. It's a great asset. You have to pay tax, you have to pay brokers. Why would you sell? But in terms of our teams, so we're up to a 6-person team now. I feel like we're all getting our stride, we're all getting our flow. Everyone knows their roles, everyone knows their responsibilities. What would you say we're learning by growing the team, which there are a lot of learning lessons?
Thanks for listening to the Broker Brunch. We've now brought you a ton of episodes, and we hope we're providing a lot of value. If you have any ideas of people you'd like to see on future episodes, please drop it in the comments so we can make it happen.
There's tons of lessons, and I think when you look at people who manage companies or you look at team leaders, you always think you could do it better.
And then you do it, you realize how hard it is.
At least I thought that.
Yeah.
Not in an arrogant way, but just in more of like, how could they not be tuned into this, or how did they not get that? But then when you're actually doing it and you realize there's so many other factors that go on behind the scenes of running a team, and it's we're just like two young guys, obviously, with responsibilities outside of work, but like so does everybody else. And I think it's when you start like juggling more and more.
Yeah,
in some respects, it's a healthy thing, because I feel like you raise your game a little bit to meet the moment. But in other respects, I just think it becomes almost like you and me talk about this all the time. It's like just fatigue, like decision fatigue.
Yeah.
And too many things coming at you. And I feel like, for me, I always like pride myself on being like a people person, and like I'm a relationship person. That's what I enjoy. That's the part of the business I like. And so I'm surprised when I find myself just being like, please don't come talk to me right now.
Yeah.
I'm just like, just let me be in my little cubicle and let me like just work on my own book of business.
You've been hanging out with me too much.
But that's you probably you class yourself as more of an introvert as well, right? So it's interesting, I'm sure, to see yourself leading a team, right? And I think you're more of someone who leads by actions rather than words. So it's more of like if we were in war, or if we were a football team, you'd be more of the guy of like, just let me just like make a big tackle, lay a statement here without like talking too much. Whereas I'd be the guy trying to like, I feel like, motivate in the dressing room.
It's funny you say that. Roy Keane was one of my childhood favourite soccer players, and someone actually if I even shaved my head once when I was a kid to be like him, but someone complimented me by saying I played like him because he played centre midfield, right, and he used to know him for being big tackles and make big statements, and I don't know, you just remind me of that right now.
But I think that's one of your strengths, and that's, in a partnership like this, it's very hard for us to get a 360 view of ourselves because we're in it, so it's too close. So we're always looking for feedback, and I think that's one bit of advice I would give anyone who's trying to start a team, grow a business, is constantly be looking for feedback from outside of your own circle, with people who might necessarily have a dog in the fight and might be able to give you more of like brutal, honest feedback. And it's hard. I go looking for feedback sometimes, and I don't think I really want it, because you have to take it then, and it's like questions yourself.
Well, a true friend will tell you be straightforward with you and give you honest feedback, even if it hurts, right? So, and we have done that. We've done that with various mentors in the industry, and I think that's why we're having a lot of success. And I think the success will continue and even grow even more, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah. So, I mean, looking into what's coming next for us, so we're coming up on 2 years with Ripco.
Yeah.
We started the podcast, I think, about a little over 2 years ago.
Yeah.
When we were at when we were in the office and we were recording, and we took it along, and I feel like it's been a journey, and it's kind of been in the background of our day-to-day business as well, but it's been a big part, I think, of how we've got our name out there and
personal brand building,
what people recognize us for now as well, which is great.
Yeah.
I think we're always trying to improve it and make it more relatable and do something a little bit different with it, so it's not just getting drowned in the noise. But at the end of the day, we're just two real estate brokers trying to make our way in the big
That's why
city.
it's good guests. You have big names, you give different perspectives, and I think that like anyone who wants to be successful will try and digest that information and be curious and learn. I think that's one of my, not patting myself on the back, but the biggest thing that I credit myself to, my tiny bit of success, is being a curiosity for learning. I think that's a skill that I think it's just so important in any business. You've got to want to learn stuff, and you hear all of the successful guests we've had on, like Peter Fine, I think he said that, and like many other guests saying, you just want to keep learning the business, because there is a lot to learn, for sure. Even the asset types, there's such many different nuances to each asset type, so it takes a long time to learn everything. And the best way to learn it is by doing, and the experience you gain by executing. Is
curiosity something that you were born with, or did you have to learn how to be curious?
That's a good question. Don't know. I actually became more curious when I was older, because I think when you get older, you're more exposure to the world and what opportunities there are in the world and how you can take advantage of them. I think it's a bit of both. I think it's a bit like hard work. I think it's a bit like discipline. It's a bit of both. Yes, you can be disciplined, but I think you can also gain that by becoming disciplined in any way you can. It's a bit like a salesman born or made. It's the same question, right? I think it's a bit of both. Rabid
curiosity, and going back to one of our other guests, Adam Gordon. That he said that he's just a few of them insatiably curious.
A few people have said that, actually.
Yeah, and I think it's probably a function of the more you do and the more you learn.
Exactly.
The more you realize that
you don't know anything.
You don't know anything, and it makes you that bit more curious. Well, actually, how do you do that?
Exactly.
I'm always concerned about a person who doesn't really ask much questions and has it all figured out in their head. Yeah. It must be nice. I'm sure it gives you a lot of peace, but I think you're missing out on a lot going on around you.
Thank you for listening to the Broker Brunch. If you enjoy the show, please hit subscribe so we can reach more people.
So much going on in the world to learn. Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett used to talk about his partner Charlie Munger about this, but like he's constantly learning through his life, and I think that's I think in life there's so many opportunities, and it's just like, why not try and learn it, and why not give anything your best shot?
Yeah.
It's turning into a motivational speech now.
But yeah, it's like if you're going to do something.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, and my mom used to always say it to me when I was younger. It's like, why not go for like 100% on the test?
Yeah,
because my I think one of my qualities or personality traits is that I'll do it good enough, but I'm not a perfectionist, and I think that's probably allows me to do a lot of different things, because I see a lot of people getting bogged down in getting one thing perfect. I love those people. I think that's what makes people brilliant, but I do think it was almost a weakness of mine that not wanting to get it perfect, but I think I've almost managed to make it one of my strengths as well, is that I can like push a lot of different things forward at one time.
Yeah.
And I'm not...
You're good at juggling things, yeah.
I'm not in the weeds, or I certainly wouldn't claim to be in the weeds on too many topics, but I have a decent amount of knowledge on a lot of different things.
Another strength I think you have, without turning this into a patting ourselves on the back show.
Keep talking. This is my favorite episode.
You think like a businessman. Yeah, you're thinking about how can we grow a business, and I don't think all brokers have the ability to do that. And like a strategic thinking about how you can grow a business, and a high level view of things. I think you can see perspectives where other people don't. I don't know if I'm articulating that clearly, but
I appreciate that, and I think that's what I'm probably saying as well in a different way, is that
exactly.
I'm able to think strategically because I'm not
in the weeds,
and it's like,
and that's a discipline in itself.
But that's why I need a team.
Exactly, yeah.
Because without like folks going into the weeds, then it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
So I think you need to be able to think big, and you also need to be able to like really delve into the weeds.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of a team, and that's why I think people are joining us, is because they see that we're building a team with different players that have different skill sets.
Yeah.
And we're ultimately going to have a place for many different types of personality.
Exactly. So on that topic, we did 2 million last year in fees. Our goal is to get to 10 million eventually. With your business hat on, how do we get from 2 to 10?
I mean, if you had said that to me, that when we were just wrapping things up at B6, that we would join forces and create $2 million worth of revenue for just two guys coming together with a pen and paper trying to figure it out.
With no contacts.
Right? I think we're doing it the good old-fashioned way. And I think we're only getting started. I think if we can do it, anyone can do it, right? There's nothing going on that is like a secret sauce other than showing up, figuring stuff out, being brutally honest with each other all the time, working on the partnership, working on the team, working on the deals.
Yeah.
And I think you keep doing it and doing it. It's like popcorn. It's just like all of a sudden things are heating up and pop.
Yeah.
And you feel momentum. Now that's not to say like some days you go home and you're like, is any of this working? And I think being able to show up the next day, like it's amazing what a good night's sleep does. And maybe just like stepping back from the business for a few hours or a day or two, like you really come back with like, actually everything is fine. We just need to tweak a couple of things and then we're off to the races again.
Yeah.
And I think that's the hardest thing for a commercial real estate broker, especially in that 0 to 3 years maybe, right? You're kind of making just enough to survive. You're not sure if this is right. Your family, your friends are probably telling you that you're not, this is crazy what you're doing. But anyone who's done something worth doing.
Talking from experience there?
100% it was me.
Yeah.
Like first 5 years of brokerage, year 1, no money. Year 2, a little money. Year 3, some money. Year 4, nice money. Year 5, good money.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the trajectory of anyone that does this business and starts this business. It mightn't go in that order. You might make good money, no money, little money, some money, or some version of that. But I think for most folks, if they look at their first 5 years in the business, that's what they'll see. But what they won't see is the amount of lessons, wisdom, relationships that they've built up in that time. And that's what you're doing. That's the apprenticeship. And it's the apprentice mindset that you need to have going into this business. And we still have it to some respect today, 7-8 years into the business. It's still learning. It's still sharpening your saw every day. I read someone write that, you don't really know anything till you're 10 years in. So we might look back on this in 2 years and say, oh my God, we didn't even know.
Yeah.
We didn't even know then what we were talking about. And there's a good chance that's true. But what we're doing is we're trying to be real, be honest, and share what we're feeling, what we're seeing, and what we think we're learning.
We're back. Another season of the Broker Brunch podcast. Summertime in New York. We've got a lot of exciting conversations coming up. We hope you enjoy listening. Exactly. The hardest thing about this business is building a sustainable pipeline of business. And I think we've got to the point now where we have that. And now to grow the business even more, we can have people underneath us who are doing the same thing, or along with us, I should say, sorry. So I think there's a lot of room for growth. Where do you see opportunities in the market right now? Like, we've touched on the fact that multifamily is down. If you were buying today, what would you buy?
I love mixed use. I love commercial on the ground floor with some residential above. If you can stay under the radar of rent regulations, meaning if you can buy something less than 6 units, that's already market rate, I think that's a really nice business plan, especially if your taxes are protected. So tax class 2A, tax class 2B, you're capped on how much taxes can be raised every year. Those are nice deals. They're liquid, they move. If you have a vacancy in the commercial, I think there's a real business plan to get new retail in there. You might get a pop on rent that way. With the market rate, I mean, look around you. Rents will just keep growing in New York City. So I feel like it's just, those are good deals. Below 5 million, 5-6 units, over 1-2 commercial.
You can't go wrong with them.
I just feel like that's great business.
Yeah.
Especially if you've got some vacancies in there. Something that you can force value from day one.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed.
What would you be scared to buy right now? Or what do you think is not maybe a good investment?
Wow, that's a good question. Ultimately, it comes down to the price you're paying, I suppose. But like, obviously, rent stabilized is a contrarian. But if you know how to operate them and you get a low enough basis where you can cash flow them, then it's not a bad investment. I think it just comes down to like the best owners I've spoke with, they don't over leverage. Just don't over leverage.
Old school thinking.
Yeah, exactly. Because I was actually speaking to an old Irish guy yesterday. He had no mortgage. He said debt free keeps you sleeping well at night. And I was like, that's so true. I think that if don't over leverage. Just buy something that's cash flowing and it's in a good location. Always like to be near transportation. So I wouldn't be far away from transportation. That's what I would say. I'd look at, just do your homework and understand the market dynamics and fundamentals of leasing and demand and availability. So yeah.
Love that. So hopefully we go into the second half of the year with good momentum. So we're recording this early June 2025. I think we're coming up to that halftime period. Everyone will, take their foot off the gas a little bit when it gets into August, get a reset. But then that second half, I think it's all to play for. Q3, Q4, deals are there to be had. We feel like those pitches, like you alluded to with the 130 pitches, there seems to be an uptick in those pitches, and I think we're going to have more of a captive audience. If rates go below a certain threshold right now, I think we're around 4.5. If they start creeping down towards the 3s, I really think things are going to snap back quickly. So it's an exciting time.
100%.
Looking forward to it. I'm feeling fired up.
I feel like we're getting more comfortable with bigger deals as well, which we're raising our game to a higher level of execution, and I think that's going to help really smash ceilings for us and grow our team. So I'm excited to see where that new opportunities that can bring us. But what about outside of work? So we both got house renovations going on, which is pretty crazy. It just shows you if you work hard in this business, in the city, you can make money and create a good life for your family. So yeah, I would just encourage everyone to keep pushing and keep going after what they want in life.
100%. All right, Mitch.
Good catch up.
Good
Let's do it
catch
again soon. Take care.